Welcome to episode 6 of the Positive Network podcast. This episode is titled, How Long Are You Willing to Wait for Love? How long will you wait for love? Real love, not that fake love, real love. Not lust, but love. True love. And I'm going to put in the question of the night. How long are you, it's just the title. I have to put question. Well, I changed the title to something else. Can't hurry love or something like that. I changed the title to You Can't Hurry Love, so I can put the question in the question. I changed the title to You Can't Hurry Love. We got time for sound on this one because I already know how that goes. Alright. Excuse me. I'm gonna put the title up. Well, I'm only one in there, but I'm still going. So I'm gonna put the title up, and the title is. Let me put it in the chat. Hello, everyone. So, day is going great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Positive Network. Hope your day is going great. And the next message is I can't even change the title until you see. I don't think I can change the title until until I end it. Okay, so I'm put the what's called John in there. The question of the night is if you should happen to fall for someone who is already in a relationship, comma, but you two still decide to move forward with a relationship of your own, comma, how long would you be willing to stay with this person while they I can't even get that much in there. How long would you wait? Okay, I missed the part. Move forward with your relationship of your own because they say they are about to end the old one. Because they say they are. They say. They are about to end the old one so they could be with you and only you. How long would you be willing to wait for them to leave the other person so you two could be together. And that is the question of the night. The question of the night is, if you should happen to fall for someone who is already in a relationship, but you two still decide to move forward with a relationship of your own because they say they are about to end the old one so they could be with you and only you, how long would you be willing to wait for them to leave the other person so you two could be together? How long would you wait? They said they were about to end a relationship so they could be with you. How long are you willing to wait for them to end this relationship so they could be with you? Oh, somebody said hi. Hi, BB. BB. B. Bowler. B. Baller. Hi. B. Bowler. I'm all excited. Okay, like I was saying, how long are you going to wait? I mean, you really want to be with this person, and they probably really want to be with you too. You know, you can't say that it's that they don't want to be. People had ties for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? You can't necessarily like go to like this person is just trying to lead me on. That may be the case, but that may not be the case because people had ties for different a lot of different reasons. So you know, I'm not here to answer the question. I just want to see what y'all may think. How long would you be willing to get a person to end the other relationship so that you and them could be together alone? Like, would you give them a week or a month and you say I had enough, I can't take it no more, or a year and before you say I had a month, can't take it no more. That's going to be hard because if you love this person, you're in love with this person, and you know they're going home to lay next to somebody else. That's going to be hard. That's going to be hard. Heartbreak hurts. That's going to be hard on you. So I mean, how long are you willing to wait for them to leave this? Because they said they're about to do it. Okay. Are you going to give them a week before you say you had enough? A month? A year? 10 years? 15? 20? How long are you willing to wait for this person? This may actually be your soulmate. So the wait may be worth. I don't know. What do you think? I just want to know what somebody else think. I know what I think. But I mean, well, I don't really have a. I don't really. I want to see what y'all think. Honestly, I don't really. I just put the questions out there. I'm not here to try to answer them. But I'm gonna go into some of these books what I do every night, and I'm hoping that somebody drops something in there because I do think this is a very interesting topic. How long, if, especially if this is somebody that you really, really want to be with, especially if this is somebody that you really, really want to be with, and you know they're worth it, or you feel you can't know anything, but you feel like they are worth it. They are worth the wait. How long is too long for you? How long is too long to wait for you? I mean, if it's that right person, the wait is definitely worth it. You know what I mean? To be with that person, the person that no matter how long you've been with them, this person you feel like little butterflies every time. You know what I mean? You around them, like you know what I mean. You get that feeling. I can't explain, but you still, and you've been with them for years, and you still get that feeling. I'm talking about this may be that person for you. And like you said, he was really almost through with this relationship. That's if you were being truthful. But how long are you willing to wait? While they, it's not easy to just get out of something long term either. You got to know that. Then something long term ain't easy to just okay, I'm out of here. You got to know that shit ain't gonna be that easy. But how long are you willing to wait for this special person? Anyway, that's the question of the night. And oh, the side hustle suggestion for today, Monday, was delivery services like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, GoPuff, Instacart. I did all of them. All the ones I named, I did them. And it depends on which one people always say like which one is the best because I guess the best they saying which one you can make the most money off of. I don't really know. Can't really like say. I can't really like say. It depends. It, like days be different, this be different, that be different. But uh, GoPuff, I like GoPuff a lot because the thing I like about GoPuff is that you ain't really gotta go wait in line at restaurants and it sometimes be crowded and shit. You know, you doing the other joints, you gotta go in there and you ain't gotta do all that. GoPuff, you just come from the facility, take it to the crib, and then wow, that's it. So I do like GoPuff. I do like GoPuff, but I also like DoorDash too. I like DoorDash. I used to like Uber Eats, but I got uh, what do you call it? I got deactivated from Uber Eats. But anyway, this book is called From Riches to Rags. The Kindle edition is free if you have Amazon Prime, or it's 99 cents to buy. The audio book is free with a membership trial, and it's not in paperback. It's no paperback for this, only audio and Kindle. And this is the description. What do you consider rich? Some people believe that rich has something to do with monetary value. Some people believe that rich is simply being happy and content with life. Julius Ruffin had a rough upbringing after being shipped from foster home to foster home as a child. Julius truly believed that being rich was all about having the simple things in life that most people take for granted every day, like truly loving someone and having someone who truly loved you. Julius dreamed of being this kind of rich every night. That was until he got a small taste of being that other kind of rich. A little taste of financial success turned Julius into a person that he did not recognize when he looked into the mirror. The kind of rich that Julius achieves comes with a steep price, a price that threatens to cost him everything he come to love. And it has a listening time of 3 hours and 59 minutes. And this is a sample from Riches to Rags. Oh shit, my bad.
By Kareem Abdul Rahman. York Bound Publications presents From Riches to Rags, written by Kareem transmitted in anymeansorf.com. Autographed copies available. From Riches to Rags has 2 parts. Act U. Chapter 6 2. Little Too Late.
Man as his favorite scene played out in his dreams once again. He was driving through the hood pushing his brand new foreign whip. As he drove past the strip, all of the homies looked on in admiration as the black-on-black Aston Martin slow rolled down the street. The rims on his car shined like diamonds straight out of an African diamond mine. He nonchalantly waved. Chapter 1. A brand new start. A smile formed on the face of the sleeping man as his favorite scene played out in his dreams once again. He was driving through the hood pushing his brand new foreign whip. As he drove past the strip, all of the homies looked on in admiration as the black-on-black Aston Martin slow rolled down the street. The rims on his car shined like diamonds straight out of an African diamond mine. He nonchalantly waved at the homies right before he noticed the chicks that were out on the strip. Every chick who had ever broke up with him, treated him like shit, or would never give him any play were standing out there. Each and every one of them was staring at the car like they wanted to fuck it. Literally. It seriously looked like they wanted to take their clothes off, lay on their backs, and let him park his Aston Martin directly in between their legs. He turned on the radio and stepped on the gas like he didn't even see the thirst buckets out there thirsting. Oddly, this behavior seemed to turn the chicks on more as they began chasing his car down the street. Suddenly there was a loud sound. It sounded like the brakes on his car were grinding up against the rotors. He thought to himself, it's not normal for the brakes on a brand new car to go bad, is it? Julius opened his eyes. The beautiful view of the hood he'd just been dreaming of was instantly replaced with the bottom of the bunk bed he was laying under. When Julius took a whiff of the stale air, he realized that the noise he'd heard and mistook for his brakes grinding was actually his cellmate laying his nasty ass up there in the top bunk, farting in his sleep again. Julius sighed and got out of the hard-ass bed. Goddamn you, a nasty motherfucker. Nigga eating nachos and chi-chis and honey buns and shit all fucking night. Nigga, you knew all of that shit had to come out of your nasty ass some kind of way. Julius shook his head. His cellie didn't hear a word of his little rant.
Alright, that was the end of the sample. It got a listening time of 3 hours and 59 minutes. That's from Riches to Rags. Let's see. This is Born to Die by Kareem Abdul-Rahman. The Kindle is free if you got Prime, 99 cents to buy. Audiobook is free with a membership trial, and the paperback is $12.99. This is the description of the book. Don was born into a world of hell. He was born to a heroin-addicted, prostituting mother. Her biggest pleasure in the world, besides shooting the dope into her veins, was making her only son's life as miserable as she could. His mom hated him from the day he was born. She beat on Don daily and sat back and watched as her tricks and pimp beat on him too. By the time he was 10 years old, Don had no love for anyone or anything. Don learned early on in life that nothing in this world would ever be given to him. If he wanted something, he would have to take it. Don hit the streets to go get money any way he could. Don's lack of parental guidance drew the attention of the state, and Don was taken out of his household and placed into a group home. The experience of being in a group home only made Don's already cold heart even colder. While at the group home, Don made a friend, a kitten he found that he named Blackie. Don grew to love the cat. Blackie was the only thing that Don had in this world. The older kids at the home couldn't stand to see anyone at the home have any kind of joy and decided Don and his new friend needed a lesson in how cruel life really is. They beat the kitten to within inches of his life and left him on the curb for Don to find. Don found his best friend laying in the street, barely alive. The older boys laughed as they watched Don's pain at seeing his friend like this. Excuse me. Don did not react like they hoped he would. He bashed his friend's skull in and enjoyed doing it. Don learned that the best way to protect yourself was never to love anything. After he killed Blackie, Don always knew that he would kill again. Because of what the older boys did to the cat, Don grew to hate anyone in the world who seemed to be happy with their life. When he got older and began using social media, he discovered a group of people he hated more than anything else in this world. Twitter honeys. The kind of women who thought they were better than everyone else simply based on how many followers or likes they had. Don's upbringing already made him have a deep hatred for women, and he planned to take all of his hate out on the honeys. Don's killing of the young women has the city of Philadelphia in a total state of panic because no one can understand why all of these young women are being murdered in such a brutal way. Under pressure by his superiors, the police captain decides to put Detective Mark Davis on the case of the murdered women. At one time, Mark Davis was the best homicide detective on the force, but as he got closer and closer to his retirement, Davis had become one of the laziest detectives around. The captain hoped that this case would light a fire inside of Davis. It doesn't, and Davis doesn't put any effort into solving this case either. That is until the case hits a little too close to home. Follow Detective Davis and his partner Jameson as they chase down this sadistic killer through the streets of Philadelphia. And this is a sample of the book, Born to Die by Kareem Abdul-Rahman.
This title was narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Born to Die by Kareem Abdul-Rahman. Chapter 1: A Hard Knock Life. Don checked his watch for the 10th time in the last 20 minutes. 5 minutes left until quitting time. Don couldn't wait to get off work today and start his weekend. Most importantly, this was going to be the night that he would finally get his paws on his latest victim. Don's guilty pleasure was killing women who he considered Twitter honeys. He hated them with a passion, and he felt that somebody needed to take them down a notch, and that somebody would be him. Don didn't begin his life being a cold-hearted killer. Over the years, life had beaten him down and made him the angry man that he is now. Donald White was born to a drug-addicted mother 26 years ago. He'd never known what it was like to have a father, or even have a positive male role model in his life. From as early as he could remember, his mother had men going in and out of the house on a daily basis. Don had to learn to fend for himself very early on in life. His mom was barely able to provide him with the most basic of needs for a child. She probably could have done more for her children, but the heroin had a hold on her that she did not want to break free from. Don didn't know if his mother beating on him when she couldn't get her fix was worse than when she did get her fix and became incapacitated. It was all bad because either way he did not eat or get the attention from a parent that a child needs. His mom wasn't the only one who beat on him regularly. One would think that having an older sister would bring some kind of protection or understanding, considering that they both were living in the same hell. That did not happen. When their mother beat Don's older sister, Crystal, she turned around and took her anger out on him. She resented him since the day he was born, and she took every opportunity to show him just how much she hated him. If it had just been his mother and sister beating on him, that may have been something that Don would have been able to handle. The thing that pushed him over the edge was the many men his mother was sleeping with beating him. It seemed like they took some kind of pleasure in beating on Don, especially his mother's pimp money. Ever since the first time Don walked in on Money beating the hell out of his mother when he was 5 years old, Money whipped Don's ass every time he saw him. He called Don a little pussy so much that you would have thought that it was Don's name. Money beat on Don so often that it became like his greeting. By the time Don was 10 years old, he was already heavy in the streets. He had to be just to survive. He stole every meal that he ate, and he robbed or stole every dollar he ever had from someone. Don was able to run the streets all night because his mother did not care where he was or what he was doing. Don came home one night and his mother was not there. This wasn't really strange because this was something that she did often, and then she would come back home after a day or two. After his mom didn't come back for a week, the 15-year-old Crystal went to live with her 22-year-old boyfriend and left Don alone in the rundown house with no electricity, heat, or food. He was forced to really fend for himself. Once Crystal left, she never looked back or even cared to wonder what would happen to Don. To his surprise, he did not roll over and die. Don learned to survive and be cold-hearted about it. He looked upon everyone as a victim or his enemy. Don snatched old ladies' pocketbooks, stole food from stores, and stole the local drug dealers' stashes from their stash spots when they weren't paying attention. Everyone was fair game for Don. He did well fending for himself, but a 10-year-old not going to school and the neighbors never seeing his mother drew too much unwanted attention. Someone called DHS to come out and investigate. When the social worker came to the house and saw the conditions that the child was living in, she immediately took Don with her and reported it to the proper authorities. The state came to get Don and he was placed in a group home. When Don got there, he immediately became a target for the older boys at the home. Don was small and he stuttered. He kept to himself and didn't say much, and that attracted the bullies. They constantly took what little things Don had. He fought for his stuff, but a scrawny 10-year-old kid fighting against 4 or 5, 15, and 16-year-old boys wasn't much of a fair match. Getting beat up daily made Don more of a loner than he already was. He was always by himself. He didn't want any friends. One day, Don was sitting out in front of the group home when a black cat came up to him and crawled under his legs. Don kicked the cat and tried to shoo him away, but the cat kept coming back and crawling up under him. After a few minutes of this, Don started to...
That was Born to Die by Kareem Rahman. I'm going to get off of this joint like 8 o'clock because I got to get a bet on the game before... I think 8:20 for Monday Night Football or something like that, but I need to get a bet on this joint. So I'm going to get off question of the night. The question of the night is, if you should happen to fall for someone who is already in a relationship, but you two still decide to move forward with a relationship of your own because they say they are about to end the old one so they could be with you and only you, how long would you be willing to wait for them to leave the other person so you two could be together? How long would you wait? Especially if the person is somebody that you consider to be worth the wait. How long would you really honestly wait? And it's not going to be an easy wait. You got to think they going home to somebody every night and you in love and you think about that. I've been there. That shit is not going to be easy. I've fucking been there. That shit is not going to be easy. But how long would you be willing to wait? A week? A month? A year? 10 years? 15 years? How long would you be willing to wait? I really want to hear what people have to say on this subject. How long would you be willing to wait? For the right person, the person that you think is your soulmate. You don't think the person that they don't think the person that they with is their soulmate. They think you are their soulmate. You believe the same thing. So how long are you willing to wait? How long? Let me see. We could go to that one. Let's see. Okay, this is Married to the Money, Till Death Do Us Part. This is in Kindle and audio only. If you have Kindle, if you have Amazon Prime, you can read the joint for free. And if you don't, it's 99 cents to buy it, and the audio is free with the Audible subscription. And this is the description. Someone is blackmailing 4 very wealthy ladies for a stupid crime they committed back in their college days. The person that is framing them looks at the ladies like they're a quick and easy come up. That person obviously has no idea how much these ladies love their lifestyles and how far they are willing to go in order to protect it. Follow Keisha, Angelina, Bianca, and Marquita on this journey to discover and track down the blackmailer. In this first book of the series, the reader will be introduced to the ladies and discover how they became to be the rich, powerful, and vicious women that they are today. This book is, the listening time is 3 hours and 31 minutes. And this is a sample from the book.
This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. Married to the Money by Kareem Rockman. Prelude, Act 1, Meet the Players. Asia. Not there. Put the shades over there on the other side of the room. Are you guys a bunch of idiots or what? Who in their right mind would put a chaise over there? Do you not see the color scheme of the room, or are you all too broke and classless to notice? Asia shook her head as she turned her nose up at the movers. She had no patience at all for people who did not see things the way that she did. She also had zero care, tolerance, or respect for those people who were unfortunate enough not to be in her tax bracket. Asia was rich. Asia was a rich bitch. More importantly for Asia was the knowledge that she was a rich bitch with some power behind her. Asia carried herself like she'd been born into this life. She carried around all the snobbiness that one would expect a person of Asia's stature to have. Anyone who met Asia automatically assumed that she was born into money. She gave off the vibe of someone born to rich or powerful parents. Or maybe one may have pictured her as a military brat who was well-traveled and versed in many cultures from all over the world. Whatever it was that people thought Asia was when they first met her, none of them would probably have suspected the truth about Asia in their wildest dreams. Asia didn't come from a rich family or anything like that. Asia was no more than an average hood rat who had rolled the dice and won big. Asia was 30 years old, beautiful, and seemed to be a very intelligent woman. Her naturally bronze-colored skin, brown bedroom eyes, and long jet black hair made her stand out in any room. As if her looks weren't enough, Asia had the body of a goddess. Her 34 DD 2541 measurements sat lovely on her 5 feet 4 inches, 135-pound frame. Asia was naturally stacked and naturally beautiful. That wasn't all that Asia had to offer the world, though. She was a very ambitious and intelligent woman. Some even called her a genius in her field. Asia was the very best at what she did. Many people had tried to recruit Asia to work for them. She was offered multi-million-dollar contracts to leave her boss and come work for them. That was something that Asia would never do or even consider doing, though. It wasn't because the offers weren't good enough for her. Asia was a money-hungry bitch. She would have jumped ship if someone would have offered her $1 more than she was making right now. Asia never considered leaving her current boss and working for someone else because of loyalty. She was loyal to her boss and her current lifestyle, and she was willing to do anything to maintain and secure her current position in business and in life. When I say anything, I do mean anything. She'd already proven that much on more than one occasion. Before I tell you too much about where Asia is at in life right now, let me tell you the story about how she got to this point. Keisha Renee Jenkins was born in Camden, New Jersey 30 years ago. Yes, Asia's birth name was Keisha before she had it legally changed, because in her opinion, Keisha was too black of a name for her. Keisha never knew her father. Baby Keisha was the result of a drunken one night stand her mother had in the restroom at a bar one night. Keisha's mother was only 22 years old, and Keisha was already her 4th child. To say that Mama was not looking forward to having another one was an understatement. Keisha was pretty much raised by her sister, who was only 5 years older than her, while Keisha's mom continued with her partying ways. Keisha's mom didn't do lots of parenting, but she did teach Keisha one lesson that Keisha would carry with her throughout life. That lesson: name brands mean everything. Keisha's mom had never came out and told her this, but she showed her children this by her actions. Keisha's mom had no money in the bank. She was always late paying her rent, and her bills were always past due, but she had that shit on every single day of the week. You could always count on that shit like you can.
That was Married to the Money, so definitely was part. And once again, the topic of the night is excuse me, if you should happen to fall for someone who is already in a relationship, but you two still decide to move forward with a relationship of your own because they say they are about to end the old one so they could be with you and only you. How long would you be willing to wait for them to leave the other person so you two could be together? How long are you willing to wait? This is a person that you think is the person. You think this person is the one. The person that makes you feel comfortable, the person that makes you feel loved. How long are you willing to wait for that person? Knowing that they go home to somebody else every night. And it's got to be killing you if you love this person. It's got to be killing you. Even if she's telling you, I don't sleep. Well, even if they telling you that they don't sleep with the other person, but you know they going home together every night. How long are you willing to wait? This joint right here, I'm gonna do. Let me see if I can crack. No, that joint ain't got no. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can crack from here. This joint, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just do like a whole chapter, so you listen to a whole chapter of one of these joints, not just the little sample from Amazon. This joint, you need to listen to a whole chapter. Let's All right, let's do the bougie circle. You'll be able to listen to a whole chapter every time. Where is that? How many? Okay. So this is episode 2 of the Bougie Circle. This is 12-minute preview.
LED. That fool is cancelled. With his weird ass. Anyway, you gonna be on time, right? I don't want to hear that running late stuff. I'm in desperate need of some S. Sand, sun, and sex. Dina laughed as she talked to Ashley on the phone. Dina was halfway joking, but she was halfway serious too. The ladies were leaving for their vacation in Mexico this afternoon, and Dina planned to treat Mexico like it was Las Vegas. What happened in Mexico during this vacation was going to stay in Mexico. Unless, of course, she met a millionaire and decided to keep draining him for cash when she got back to the States. The ladies were headed off for a vacation, just like most people did at this time of the year. But unlike most people, the bougie circle were traveling in style. Fuck airports and long-ass lines. The ladies were chartering a private jet for their getaway. Dina checked inside her bedroom closet one last time before she zipped up her Louis Vuitton luggage. She wanted to be 100% sure that she packed all of the new things she brought yesterday. Dina dropped a cool $15,000 on clothes and shoes for this week-long vacation. She didn't plan on wearing anything twice during this whole trip, including bathing suits and lingerie, that she was pretty certain a few millionaires would be seeing up close and personal during her time in Mexico. Mom, when you coming back? Dina jumped a little. She was startled to hear.
I told you about the speed cameras on Broad Street. They got 12 of them. They just put up their new joints, so that's why if you riding up and down Broad Street, you see motherfuckers doing the speed limit only like 25 on Broad Street. That's why motherfuckers driving slow, because them joints is out there, and they like I think it's 12 of them. But if you go to Nays Media, NAYZE Media, go to the YouTube. Oh, you're here. Just subscribe. It's that simple. Just subscribe, and you'll see exactly where they at. That story right there about they tell you exactly where them Johns is at. Exactly where they at.
Accomplishment in life was living responsibility and carefree. Dina had played a big part in Diana becoming this way. She knew it, and she hated it. But she still continued to contribute to it. Dina grew up an only child. She'd always wanted a sister to share clothes with and do other sisterly things with. Since she had none, Dina settled for friends to fill the sister role. As hard as Dina tried, friends were not the same as family. Dina's life had been one never-ending party since she was 14 years old. Having Diana at 17 did not slow down Dina's partying ways, not even a little bit. Dina passed her child off to her mother to raise while she continued her partying ways. Dina kind of forgot she even had a child, until her mom passed away when Diana was 16 years old. Dina suddenly felt a huge amount of guilt. Her daughter was 16 years old, and she barely knew her. With her mother no longer around to care for her child, and take care of her responsibilities for her, Dina's motherly instincts finally kicked in, kind of. Dina went and got her child, who was now a teenager. Dina moved Diana into her plush house with her. Diana wasn't really a bad kid, but she wasn't all that innocent either. Dina had been running the streets since she was 14 years old. If there was one thing that stayed the same throughout generations, it was the streets. Times changed, things changed, people changed, but one thing that always remains the same is the street mentality. There was nothing going on out in the streets, past or present, that Dina had not witnessed or experienced firsthand. Dina watched her daughter come and go as she pleased. She never said a word. Dina watched for a month straight as Diana walked around like she was slick. After a month of watching her daughter, Dina finally approached her to burst her bubble. Dina told Diana that she knew everything she was doing. She didn't even have to see her doing it to know what she was out there doing. Dina knew about Diana sneaking out of the house late at night. She knew about the boys Diana was sneaking into the house late at night, and she knew about Diana smoking weed in the basement. Dina knew all of this even though she was barely ever home. Dina
told Diana she was not angry at her, she just wished that she learned to do things in a better way. Dina made Diana a deal. If Diana continued going to school, getting good grades, and graduated high school, Dina would allow her to do all of the things she thought she was sneaking to do, under her roof. Dina was true to her word. She allowed Diana to have parties, sleepovers, and Dina even allowed Diana's boyfriends to spend the night sometimes. Dina became known around town as the cool mom. Dina loved the title too. Dina also began spoiling Diana something terrible. Dina brought Diana anything she wanted. Diana got a Maserati for her 17th birthday. When she turned 18, Dina threw her an expensive birthday party, complete with high-priced entertainers. Dina also brought Diana a Lamborghini. But the party and the birthday gifts weren't the best thing about Diana turning 18. The day Diana turned 18, she became Dina's best friend and the sister she had always wanted. The two did almost everything together. So it should come as no surprise that Diana followed right in Dina's footsteps. Unlike her mother, Diana didn't have that natural knack for separating real from fake. Real ballers with real money, from fake ballers who specialized in making it look like they had money. Diana was getting played by fake ballers a lot. Every time Dina tried to teach Diana real from fake, the two got into heated arguments. Diana said she wasn't a child anymore and she was not going to tolerate being treated like one. Even though she had no job, everything she owned and almost every dollar she ever got came from Dina. After warning her 3 times, Dina decided to let Diana find her own way in life. She never did. 7 years later, at 25 years old, Diana had not found a real baller to take care of her. Diana was not even considering getting a job and taking care of herself. She was still having sex with broke boys, and she was still living off of, and with her mother. Dina clearly didn't mind. She never kicked Diana out, pressed her to pay any bills, or stopped taking care of her every want and need. Even still, Dina hoped that her daughter would grow up one day. I better not find out you had a bunch of your broke-ass friends in my house while I'm gone. You're gonna find yourself living in the streets with their bum asses if you keep it up. Mom, can you leave your car here? Mine is in the shop again. Diana paid no attention at all to her mother's threats about kicking her out before she moved on to asking for what she really wanted. Dina stopped packing clothes for a second and looked at Diana. Before she could question Diana about why her car was in the shop this time, she heard the sound of the doorbell ringing. Dina sighed. She was not going to stress herself out over Diana's dumb-ass problems. How she was going to pay to get her car fixed was on her. The keys on the kitchen table, Dina said as she nonchalantly walked past Diana on her way to answer the front door. Diana stood there completely befuddled. Her mother had shown no care at all about her car being in the shop. The fake party line was supposed to set her up so that Diana could hit her up for what she really wanted. You know, ask for something big, so what you really want seems small. It usually worked for Diana. She stood there wondering why it wasn't seeming to work this time. Dina smiled as she headed to the front door. She was enjoying seeing Diana sweat it out. Dina knew that she was going to eventually be the one paying to get Diana's car out the shop, but it was still fun seeing her fret about her car at the moment. Dina opened the door with a smile still on her face. Her smile disappeared when she saw no one standing out there. But there was something on her doorstep. 1 red rose. What the fuck? Dina shook her head as she closed the door and walked back into the house. Whatever this rose was about, surely had nothing at all to do with her. Probably with some weird-ass shit Diana was into. Dina shrugged. She had better things to think about than Diana's unorganized life, like meeting some extremely rich men in Mexico. Ashley laughed as she ended her call with Dina. She was purposely taking her time as she sat in her chambers looking at videos on Instagram. Ashley was being petty. She was sitting here bullshitting, knowing that people were in the courtroom awaiting her ruling. They were all on her time, and this was how she chose to waste it. Why shouldn't she? The prosecution had wasted her time making her come back here to have to look up this case. If you would have just told the truth, everyone would have been out of here by now. Off somewhere enjoying their day. But no. He felt the need to waste her damn time. Now she was purposely wasting his, and everyone else in the courtrooms too. The DA had no case against the defendant, and he knew it. This was another example of the state trying to pin a bullshit charge on the first black man they could find. If there was one thing Judge Ashley didn't tolerate in her courtroom, it was that. Prosecutors trying to take black men off the streets, simply to get a conviction. A lot of times they ended up getting that conviction too. Not from her, but there were other judges in the system who played along with the game. Ashley shook her head as she thought about how fucked up the criminal justice system was. The game was completely rigged against poor folks and minorities. Nobody seemed to really care either. Ashley's recess to look a little deeper into the case that had been unexpectedly dumped into her lap was supposed to be 10 minutes. Ashley had been back here in her chambers for 45 minutes. It had taken her all of 5 minutes to do a little research and discover that the prosecution was full of shit. The other 40 minutes back here had been filled by Ashley talking to Dina on the phone and surfing Instagram profiles. Ashley took her time as she stood from her chair and began putting her robe back on. When she was done, she summoned her clerk and told him to call to resume the proceedings. 5 minutes later, Ashley took a seat in her judge's chair and stared darts of death at the prosecution's table before she spoke. Mr. Olson, you clearly, and I do mean clearly, have no case here whatsoever. The defendant was arrested and charged with a crime with no credible evidence or reasoning behind his arrest at all. And the worst part about this is that you had the nerve to request to raise the defendant's bail not once, but twice. Even though the $100,000 bond for a Class 3 felony was ridiculously high to begin with. Mr. Olson, in my honest opinion, you are in direct violation of your civic duty to serve this court with honor. In my opinion, this case was an attempted railroading of an innocent man. One thing my mother said while laying on her deathbed that stayed with me was that if a person will do something once, he will do it twice. I seriously doubt that this is your first attempt to railroad an innocent man, and I seriously doubt that it will be your last, unless you are stopped. Therefore, I'm writing to the Bar Association to request that your activities be investigated, and hopefully that investigation leads to you being disbarred. Ashley paused for a second and looked at the defendant. Mr. Milton, I would advise you to get a lawyer, a real lawyer. When you do, I suggest you pursue civil action against the state and Mr. Olson personally. Mr. Milton, I am sorry that you were robbed for a year of your life behind this nonsense. Ashley shuffled the pile of papers sitting in front of her before she continued. To her feet. Defendant Milton jumped up and cheered loudly. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Your Honor. If I ever see you out there in the world, I hope you will let me buy you a drink. Ashley heard what the defendant said as she was on her way out the door. Under normal circumstances, she would have held his dumb ass in contempt of court, but she already had vacation on her mind as she headed off to her chambers. Charging that dummy with contempt would mean spending more of her time here. Not today, Satan. Defendant Milton smiled as he yelled over at the prosecutor as he was being led out of the courtroom by deputies and taken over to the jail to be processed and released. I'll see your weird ass in court, fuckboy. D.A. Olson said nothing as he sat at the table still shaking his head and wondering what the fuck had just happened. The Bougie Circle by Kareem Rahman. Get the full book and series at Amazon today. Here.
Alright, I'm about to be up. Try to get my look, because I gotta use my phone. So I get my couple credits sent on DraftKings before whatever. But thank you for listening. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless. Good night. See y'all tomorrow. God willing.